Hello, my name is Edith, and today we're going to talk about adult teeth. And then a little bit later, we'll talk about children's teeth. So the picture you see here is an adult teeth. Adult teeth has 32. As you can see, there's all these numbers on the chart for adult teeth. So before we get to those numbers, we're going to talk about the upper and the lower. So for the upper part, it's called maxillary. For the bottom part, it's called mandibular. So it'll make it easier for people to recognize the upper and the lower. So upper is upper maxillary, lower is lower mandibular. Before we talk about these numbers, let's go ahead and talk about the sides. Like, we have to divide the teeth into 4 sides. Okay, here's an example. So your mouth has 4 sides. We divide it into 4 sides, which are first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. So it will make it easier for the dentist to tell the dental assistant which quadrant we're going to be working on when we're doing fillings, extractions, and root canals. So as you can see, there are 4 sides, which are the 4 quadrants. So you divide your quadrants. So starting from your right, this is your right side. So that's quadrant 1. And we divide that to the middle, which is number 8. And then quadrant 2, which continues on from number 9 to 16. Then you have quadrant 3 and then quadrant 4. Also, I'm not sure if I told you how many teeth we have, but we have 32 teeth. So we count from your right, your upper right, 1 all the way to your upper left. Your upper right is from 1 all the way to your left side, still on the upper, 16. And then continue counting, going straight down to the bottom of your left. From number 17 all the way to 32. So basically we have 32 teeth. That's in the universal numbering. And then you have to divide it in 2 sides, which is upper, we call it maxillary. Bottom, we call it mandibular. So all your upper right, all the upper teeth are called maxillary, all the lower teeth are called mandibular. And then you have maxillary right, maxillary left, mandibular left, mandibular right. But still you have 4 quadrants that we divide into. And then the 2 quadrants, as we call maxillary and mandibular. So in the United States, we count the teeth by using the universal numbering. So universal numbering is just from counting on your right to your left, continue all the way down, all the way to your right again. So we count from 1 all the way to 32 back on your left. So from your right, counting all the way back to your right. So that's a total of 32 teeth. We use numbering systems. And then I already talked about how to divide the teeth from upper maxillary and lower mandibular. And then we also talk about the quadrant. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And then in other countries, instead of using universal, they use Palmer and ISO. So let me grab my pencil real quick. And then I will show you what I learned from my professor. She's an awesome professor, by the way. And I'm gonna divide this so you can see the upper maxillary and the lower maxillary. And then we're gonna divide. Sorry, it's crooked. We're going to divide it the quadrant there. So you have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, so we're talking about ISO. So for Palmer and other countries, instead of counting from your right maxillary, so instead of counting 1, they start from the middle, which is number 1, counting all the way back to your right, number 8. So 1 in the middle to your right, 8. So they count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then they do the same thing on your left. 1 to 8 on your left. They start from the middle. 1 to 8. Continue on 1 to 8. So in other countries they use Palmer or ISO, but in the United States they only use universal. So for ISO, which we already divide the teeth, the quadrant, like we talk about, like quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the ISO, instead of counting 1, we're going to use the quadrant phrase over here. So you see that we have 8 over here for universal, 1 for Palmer. So Palmer is 1, and then for ISO we're going to add this one. We're just adding 1. So that makes 11, and the Palmer is 2. Then you add 1, 12. You have number 3, you add 1, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then same thing goes on the other side. So instead of quadrant 1, remember we're moving to quadrant 2. So you have 9, 1, 21. So you just add, instead of adding the 1, you add 2. So remember, for universal we're still counting the same way we count. And then for the Palmer, it's the same way they count. It's with the 1, but then we had to add the 2 to the ISO. So you have 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And then you continue down. Remember, because there's 4 quadrants, so we're still adding to that number to make that other number. So as you can see, remember what I said, we still continue counting from number 17. And the Palmer, they use the same way as they did on the top, which is 1 to 8. So all we're adding is 3. You see how it says 3, 17, 8, 3. We're only adding 3 to this 8 for the ISO. We have 37, 6, 35, 34, 33, 32, and then 31. The same thing goes on this side, but then we're using 4. And then we're going to talk about how they're divided into certain ways. There you have is dividing the teeth into interior. These 1, 2, 3, 4 are incisors. The sharp teeth that looks like a shark, they're called canines. Then you have the premolars, you have the molars, then you have more molars, then you have premolars, canine, incisors. So we divide this part like a triangle, and the canines and incisors in here, they're called interior sexton. Then you have premolars, molars. So as you can see, they're still divided in quadrants, which are quadrant 1, 2, 3, quadrant 4. Yes. Then you see how we're using the universal. You count from your upper right maxillary to your upper left maxillary, and then from your lower mandibular on your left, start from 16, continue on from 16 all the way to 32. So the question is, how many premolars do we have? As you can see in the picture, there are 8 premolars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there are 12 maxillary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we're done talking about those teeth. So moving on, we're going to be talking about children's teeth. Children's teeth has approximately 12 teeth because they don't have premolars. So children has 20 teeth. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 on the upper maxillary, 10 on the lower mandibular. And they're divided into 4 quadrants. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, they have, we continue on from 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you see that children in the United States at the dentist's office, they don't count by numbers. They count by alphabet. They count by alphabet, which is A to J for the upper maxillary. And then continue on to the lower left from your mandibular, K to T. So for children is A to T, starting from your right. And then they count from 1 to 20, total for kids' teeth. Then you see they have ISO, which we already talked about the adults. Same thing, how they do it with the kids' teeth, and the Palmer. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you. This was fun.